This map shows the Roman Empire at its greatest extent during the 2nd century AD. From the rainy coasts of Britain to the deserts of Syria, ruling a territory this massive required immense logistical precision and unyielding discipline. For nearly 2 decades, that discipline came from Marcus Aurelius. He was a deeply intellectual, stoic philosopher king who maintained an era of quiet prosperity and military success across the Mediterranean. But in the winter of 180 AD, Aurelius made a catastrophic error. He broke the long-standing Roman tradition of adopting a highly capable, battle-tested general as his successor, and instead handed control of the empire to his own biological son. That son was Commodus. He was a 19-year-old who possessed a striking athletic physique, but no experience in leadership, statecraft, or military command. He immediately abandoned the freezing borders of Germany and the grueling daily meetings with the Senate. He returned to Rome, surrounded himself with luxury, and outsourced the daily administration of millions of people to corrupt advisors who routinely sold off their judicial decisions for personal profit. Inheriting unlimited power over the world's largest superpower without the maturity to wield it creates a vacuum. And in ancient Rome, a vacuum invites conspiracy. A ruler's complete psychological collapse often follows a specific, intense physical trauma. Decades earlier, Emperor Caligula survived a near-fatal brain fever that left his mind fractured. For Commodus, the break from reality happened in 182 AD. He was walking through a narrow, dimly lit stone corridor under the Colosseum when an assassin stepped out from the shadows. The blade belonged to an agent sent by a conspiracy organized by his own older sister, Lucilla, who had grown jealous of his power. The assassin shouted a warning before striking, and that single second of hesitation saved the emperor's life. Imperial bodyguards swarmed the attacker. Lucilla was banished and later executed, and every wealthy politician was killed. Commodus survived, but the psychological damage was permanent. He became convinced that every senator, noble, and politician in Rome was a silent assassin waiting for an opportunity to strike. To protect himself, he built a massive network of secret spies to monitor every whisper in the capital. If a wealthy citizen looked at him incorrectly or voiced a minor grievance, they were arrested, stripped of their wealth, and killed. When unhealed personal trauma is granted unchecked power, a ruler's basic instinct for self-preservation transforms into a mechanism for mass slaughter. To cope with the terror of assassination, these emperors often retreated into delusions of grandeur. Caligula famously ordered his army to stand in the surf and stab the ocean waves with their swords to collect seashells as war booty. Commodus declared he was the reincarnation of Hercules, wearing a lion's skin and carrying a heavy club. He weaponized this godhood, forcing the Senate to declare him a living god, renaming Rome to Colonia Commodiana and replacing the calendar months with his own titles. This visual shows the towering stone arches of the Colosseum, the arena where Commodus committed his most public desecrations. Gladiators were considered the lowest social class in Rome, yet the emperor moved into their barracks to train for the games. He fought hundreds of matches on these sands, but the games were rigged. Commodus wielded a razor-sharp steel blade against professional gladiators who were forced to use harmless wooden swords and kneel in submission while the crowd cheered. Outside of those staged matches, he rounded up the poor, the sick, and the disabled from the streets of Rome. He had them tied together in the center of the arena and clubbed them to death while dressed as a god. The man who claimed the strength of a deity spent his days slaughtering the helpless and fighting opponents who weren't allowed to strike back. By the year 1902 AD, these spectacles had bankrupted the treasury and pushed the ruling elite to a breaking point. They realized they had to remove the emperor or watch the Roman world burn. The final catalyst arrived when his mistress, Marcia, found a wax tablet in his private quarters. It was a list of senators marked for execution the next morning, and her own name was carved at the top. Marcia acted immediately, slipping poison into his wine. Commodus drank the glass, but as the toxin began to work, his athletic body fought back, and he vomited most of the poison up. The conspirators knew they wouldn't survive the night if they failed. They sent in Narcissus, a professional wrestler and the emperor's own training partner, to finish the job in the imperial bathhouse. Narcissus lunged forward, locking his arms around the emperor's neck. The man who believed he was Hercules thrashed in the water, but his strength was gone. Within minutes, he was strangled to death. The Senate immediately declared damnatio memoriae. They tore down his statues and erased his name from public monuments, attempting to scrub his existence from the Roman record. The death of Commodus ended the Pax Romana and plunged the empire into a century of civil war. In this case, the burden of hereditary power transformed a young man into a predator, turning the internal stability of the Roman world into a cycle of self-destruction.